Take 39,732 of trying to make this video. Turns out making a YouTube video is really hard. This is why I had an editor for a lot of the game content who did a tremendous job, by the way. I wish he was here now helping me edit this because this is going terribly. I am pacing now because I find walking helps me articulate what I'm trying to think. So I apologize if you get motion sickness from videos of people walking around. Prepare, this one's probably going to be a long one. I'm going to be doing lots of walking. I don't own a chair. I'm actually at my desk using my phone camera, which I hope isn't super obvious. But I am actually at my desk and I don't own a chair. So I have to stand. And if I'm not walking, it'll look really weird because I'll stand here like this and I'll just be bouncing. Which, yeah, that's a no-go. So anyway, this video, as the title probably gave away, is about my book that I published in January of 2025, titled A Light in the Night. That was my first book published, and I'm kind of going to go over it in 3 parts. The first part will be the past, what kind of led up to getting it published, all that jazz. The second part is going to be what's happening right now with the book. And then the third part will be my future steps that I want to take with the book series, content creation, etc. Speaking of content creation, there's one more thing I want to get out of the way before I get to the video. And that is, if you are here for Marvel Rivals content, if you follow me for video game content, this channel moving forward will no longer be about video game content. I apologize if you were a fan, but I'm moving on to different things. Now, that doesn't mean I'm totally done with video games. I will be streaming it at Twitch, which will be linked down below. So I will still be streaming, and if you want to catch it, you absolutely can. But this channel in particular will most likely just be focused on writing content, authoring content, etc. If I do feel the call again to post gameplay guides, I will probably create a second channel and upload videos there. With that out of the way, let's get on to the video, which is part 1, the past. Let's hope I hit record this time, huh? It's always fun when you record like a 10-minute section just to find out that you didn't actually ever hit record and nothing was saved anywhere. Definitely a thrilling experience. Highly recommend it. I'm kidding. But yeah, the past. So where did this all start? It actually started way back when I was very, very young. I really hated writing. I was homeschooled, and my mom, try as she might, had a very, very hard time getting me to write literally anything. I just hated it. I refused to write, but I loved to read, which was a huge thing for me and was very important, and is honestly the reason why I'm an author today, is because of my love of reading, not because of my love of writing. Anyway, some stuff happened. I got to high school and I decided, you know what? I'm tired of choosing, because it really was a choice. I'm tired of choosing to hate writing. I want to be a writer. I want to be an author. So in high school, I started working on a book. And it was going to be a huge epic fantasy. I worked on it for several years. I wrote every night, 500 to 1,000 words. I was very dedicated. I was like, I'm going to get this finished. And I did finish it. I finished the book. That book is not A Light in the Night. That is a different book. And it's not very good at all, actually. It doesn't... it lacks in scope, I guess you could say. It's not what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be an epic fantasy. And it ended up being like 60k words. Very small. Very short. A lot of telling, no showing. It just really was not a great book. So I did have the wisdom, I suppose you could say, to see that it really wasn't that great of a book. And so I decided to take a step back and try a different approach. I was going to write a smaller scale story, more of an adventure fantasy, which is what A Light in the Night is. A more adventure fantasy in a smaller part of the world, smaller scope, smaller story, easier to write. Or at least I think it's easier to write. So I started working on that in 2019, freshman year of college. I worked on it for all 4 years of college. I had multiple friends, family read it, had a professor read it, provided a lot of great feedback, really worked on it. Towards the end of college, 2023, I reached out to about 20 book agents to see if any of them would represent. Unfortunately, none of them said that they would, which is a bummer, but 20 really isn't that much. At least not in the way that most people go about it. You'll read stories of people reaching out to like 600 agents. I didn't do that, but I did reach out to 20, and I did get a little discouraged. I think if you've done research that odds are you won't find an agent in 20 queries. But just because those are the facts doesn't mean it's not disappointing when it doesn't happen, right? You want like the first 3 agents to all want your book. But it didn't happen. Things got busy towards the end of college. I decided, you know what? I'm going to put this a little bit on the back burner. I'm going to work on some more edits. I'm really going to polish it up, and then I'll send it out. And so what happened was, graduated college. I moved to Boise, Idaho. The book kind of sat in the back of my mind, put up on the proverbial shelf. I worked on it here and there, worked on polishing it up, especially the start. And then after moving here, I decided, you know what? I'm tired of book agents. I'm sick of it. That's not quite true. I did send out a couple more queries, but I decided, you know what? I'd rather work with a smaller publisher. Someone who I can directly contact and directly query. And I was like, well, I wonder if there's a local publisher here in Boise. So I searched around a little bit, and I found this place called Green Avenue Books and Publishing, which is a publishing house based here in Boise, and they were just starting out. So I reached out to them with my book, with my query letter. And I was like, hey, I'd love to be represented by you guys. I'm a local author, and here's my book. After about a month, I want to say, they reached back out, and they're like, hey, this looks perfect. We would love to publish your book. Which was an absolute dream come true, right? That was wonderful. I still remember sitting on the couch when I got that email. I was almost in tears. It was absolutely wonderful experience. I worked with them. They helped edit the book. Looking back on it now, I wish maybe the edits were a little bit more in depth, but they weren't quite where I'd want them to be now, but they were good enough at the time. They put together a really beautiful cover, which at this point I'm sure I've showed on screen. Absolutely love the cover, even if it doesn't exactly relate to the book. Still relates close enough, but they're able to put it together. They got it published, is available everywhere. Still is till June 2026. So if you want to check out a copy while it still exists, go ahead and do that. But yeah, so they got it published. I got to do some author events, which was super cool. It's very weird. I can't describe what it feels like to give an author event, to have people come to want to listen to you talk about your book. It's very surreal, but it's cool. And then I even got to do a book signing at Barnes & Noble, which was absolutely awesome, right? I've grown up going to Barnes & Noble. I shouldn't say grown up. I've spent the last 5 or 10 years going to Barnes & Noble. So seeing my book there, and then they had it up on the shelf after the book signing, is totally surreal. Absolutely surreal. One of the coolest experiences of my life. It was just phenomenal. I highly suggest chasing that feeling if you want to be an aspiring author, because it is worth it. It's almost as good as the feeling you get when you finish your first book. That feeling alone should be reason enough that you want to write. You should just want to write in general, though. But it's worth it. If you're wondering if it's worth it, it's absolutely worth it to try to get your book published. And that was one of the big reasons why I went with traditional publishing. Because I had considered self-publishing, which if I had done that in hindsight, I wouldn't be in the predicament that I am in now. But the reason I ultimately decided against it was, one, I'm kind of lazy and I didn't want to do the ISBN number and all that stuff. I didn't want to have to deal with it. But the second reason, and the biggest, is because a publisher, at the end of the day, if you don't know them, has no interest in who you are. Now, I don't mean that in a rude way. It's not like they don't want to be your friends. A lot of people in the book business are very, very nice people. A lot of people in publishing are great people. But what I mean is that they're running a business and they don't want to take a risk on a book that they don't think is worth taking a risk on. And it's worth it to go the traditional publishing route, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, when you're feeling bad about your writing, when you're feeling like, hey, I really suck at this, you can still think to yourself, there was one person out there. There was one person who said, you know what, that book is good enough to take a risk on, and I'm going to take a risk on it. Because I think maybe it could do really well. And that's worth it, at least in my opinion. And that was one of the big motivators behind wanting to be traditionally published. Now, it didn't need to be like Simon and Schuster or anybody like that, right? Anybody was good enough. I just needed that one person who had no relation to me and no interest in me, and their only interest was in running a successful business, and they thought maybe my book could be a part of that. I just wanted that one person, and I got that one person. And I will be forever thankful to Green Avenue Books and Publishing for giving me that experience, for giving me the experience of, getting a book published, seeing cover design for the first time, seeing my book in a bookstore, all of that. It was absolutely phenomenal, really wonderful. Super, super happy that it turned out that way. But all good things must come to an end. So a couple days ago, I received an email, and that leads us into part 2, the present. So what happened? Well, a few days ago now, I received an email that Green Avenue Books and Publishing was officially closing their doors. In hindsight, maybe there was a couple giveaways, I suppose you could say, that it might be coming. But it wasn't really super clear. It was kind of blindsided, which is unfortunate. I hold no ill will against them. It seemed like they were a little bit blindsided as well. So it's definitely a bummer. But they are closing their doors. And basically what that means is that A Light in the Night will no longer be distributed anywhere. So it won't be at Barnes & Nobles anymore. It won't be on Amazon, etc. They will be reverting all rights of the book back to me, and including giving me the cover design, etc. So the book is officially mine again starting in June 2026. So I will have complete rights to do whatever I want. If I wanted to, I could self-publish it. I have all the material, and it really wouldn't be that hard. So I could self-publish it again and go from there. But I was thinking about maybe doing something a little bit different. And that leads us out of the very short part 2 and into part 3, which in my opinion is much more exciting, the future. So what does it look like? The future, that is. Well, I'm going to take this as a sign to keep A Light in the Night off the shelves for a little bit. I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to change some things. You see, as I was working on the prequel for A Light in the Night, I had to reread A Light in the Night quite a bit. And keep in mind, A Light in the Night I started writing in 2019. I was a lot younger than I am now, and I would say I was a lot worse of a writer than I am now, especially from like a grammatical tools of the trade type sense. I do believe I knew how to tell a story even back then, but I don't think I executed it quite to the level that I would want nowadays. So this is giving me that opportunity to polish up what I want changed. And like I said, I was writing the prequel, or while writing the prequel right now, I've had to reread A Light in the Night, and I've noticed a lot of those issues keep popping up. You know, clunky word structure, clunky sentence structure, etc. And so I think this is the perfect opportunity to go through and update the whole book. Now, I'm not going to change any of the story. I don't want the story changed. I like the story. I think it's enjoyable. I like the characters. I like what happens. I love all of that. But I do want to update that structure. I want it to read beautifully. I want it to be something like, I don't know, Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea series, right? Where you just read the book and you don't even have to know what's happening. You just love reading it. Like, the words are, if you haven't read that book series, I highly recommend it. Patrick Rothfuss is another one, Name of the Wind, where the book is comforting in a way that's hard to describe just because of the words. So I would love for Light in the Night to be like that. I know it won't be. I know I don't have the skills yet to do that, but I do think I can update it to be a lot better and a lot closer than it originally was. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity. After I finish updating it, then I will most likely send it out to agents again. Small publishers are nice, and I'm not opposed to a small publisher going the small publisher route again. But it would be nice to have that agent backing me in the scenario like what just happened, where a publisher goes out of business. Publishing is a hard industry, and I'm sure it happens more often than you would imagine, which is definitely a bummer. But sometimes that's just how life is. So yeah, so the future is we're going to be taking that book, I'm going to be editing it, I'm going to be updating it, and I'm going to be publishing it. So now, why am I making this video? Why would you care at all? Well, that's going to be the fun thing. I'm going to post, hopefully, at least 2 to 3 times a week with updates about how the edits are going. I wanted to describe what the edits are, the general relevance they have to the story, and sort of my reasoning behind those edits. Because I think it'd be interesting, especially for younger authors, to see how I edit. Because I don't think I edit the best. I think that's a strength that I definitely want to get a lot better at. And so I think it would be very helpful for people to kind of see that. And then also, I am planning on hopefully live streaming some of it. So the reason why I don't live stream writing is because of kind of artistic integrity, right? I don't want people in chat or something like that leaving a suggestion or leaving an idea saying, hey, why don't you incorporate this? Why don't you change this? And then me basically stealing their idea and implementing it into the story, right? I don't want to do that. That's why I would probably never live stream a book that I'm currently writing. But since this book is already published and I don't plan on changing the story at all, I'm fine live streaming edits, because I feel like the artistic integrity won't be fractured there. I'm not changing anything. I'm not stealing ideas. I'm not writing somebody else's story. I already wrote my story. I just want it to be polished up a little bit. So it might be interesting for some people to see that. And over the course of the edits, they pretty much get the book for free. So since while I have the book, I can do that. So that's sort of the plan moving forward. If you would like to hang in there and stop by and see how the edits are going, I'd really appreciate it. The book, I don't think is perfect right now. In fact, It's very, very far from perfect. It's got a lot of work that needs to be done. I think there's a lot that I'll probably end up changing, which is both depressing and exciting, right? Maybe not depressing. It's sad in the sense that so much of what I created and loved, I feel the need to change. But it's also exciting because I realize I've grown a lot as a writer. Right? I was 19 years old when I started writing A Late in the Night, and I'm almost 26 now. I'll be 26 here in about 10 days. So that's 7 years of progress, 7 years of change. So it's cool to see how much I've changed as a person, as an author, etc. And I'm excited to see kind of how the edits take place and see what happens. So if you want to hang in for the ride, I recommend subscribing. I'll have an Instagram link down below where I'll hopefully be posting more content, and a TikTok as well. So thank you so much if you do stop in. If you don't, I appreciate you making it to the end of the video. It's hard to sit through an entire YouTube video, especially one that's over like 10 minutes. So maybe not that hard. I shouldn't say that. I feel like that's setting people up for failure. It's not that hard to sit through 10 minutes. It's that hard to sit through 10 minutes that's not perfectly edited. I think one of the weird realizations I've had while making this video is that this video is not going to be great, but I have to make this video so that the next video can be a little bit better, if that makes sense. It's weird that you have to fail at something 100 times before you get it right. And so this is my failure number 1 out of 100. And it's interesting to realize that, I guess. Anyway, now I'm just rambling and extending out the video, but thank you so much for hanging in there, for stopping by, for checking out the video. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to the future, looking forward to editing A Late in the Night, and looking forward to where it goes from here. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next video.